Hi, I'm Johannes. I'm talking about developer experience. I'm a developer advocate, and that's my main point I'm working on on a daily basis. And I didn't know what developer experience is. So let's see if we can get a very abstract definition of this in the next slide. And you should go. Yes. And there's a very abstract definition by Cord Campbell. He's a very famous developer advocate. And he said, it's an event or occurrence within an ecosystem that leaves an impression on a developer. So not on a customer. Your customer are developers, but we're talking about developers here, which is a very abstract thing if you think about event or occurrence. I think about developer experience like this is my product and my ecosystem. You're not only selling a product, but a whole ecosystem with it. And you have touch points with your customer, and your product should feel like this really, really nice, fluffy puppy. And like, yeah, that's your product. And if a developer touches your product, it should exactly feel like this. So when I talk about touch points, so when we talk about ecosystems products, there are a lot of touch points, like these bubbles here, a lot of different touch points. And it's even different for every product. So the touch points for every product is different. But we will go over the few I know in detail when we have detail of 20 seconds. But Johannes, you may ask, why should I even care about the touch points? If I make a great product, then the users will come. But actually, that's not the case. You have to market it. You have to get it known. And it has to feel nice and fluffy like this puppy in the second slide. So the first thing you need is a good time to hello world, or a time to first wow, I would call it. First wow exclamation. So you need to have a really, really good getting started guide, especially for developers. If you don't have a good getting started guide, then developers will just say, no, I have another option, and will leave your product. And after getting started guides, you need SDKs, and SDKs in the most popular languages, and also the most environmental friendly languages, I suppose, like JavaScript, Python, Java, and so on. And you also need code samples to show the usage of your SDKs, basically Javadoc, something like this. And then you need self-service. Sadly, no beer here. I would have photoshopped something in here. So no developer wants to talk to sales or marketing. Do something like single sign-on or a minimal form to get a trial for your product, and then they can self-service your product. That's what developers want. They don't want to talk to sales. And for that, if they even want to evaluate or trial your product, you need a very nice pricing page. So this is a nice pricing page, $2 a bunch. Yeah, cool. That's very clear. And this should be your goal, to make it as clear so a developer can evaluate if it's even in the budget for them to propose this technology. And then I'm a docs guy. Docs are very, very important. Have you ever seen the Nginx docs? You should try them out. They are perfect for the use case. And your docs should be like the go-to point for everything a developer needs. No personal interaction. Just go to the docs, find a thing, and solve your problem. And what should also be in your docs should be some nice reference guides. And these reference guides should be like API documentation. The API documentation should show the command, should be easily searchable, and after command, even a demonstration of it and some small examples. Then you have a nice reference guide. And also, and that often gets overlooked, what developers want are product change logs. So not only what gets delivered, but what is in the pipeline, and they want to participate in your product development. So you have to have a way, for example, a feature basis, something like this, to get feedback from your developers in your product and incorporate this. What developers also really hate is when you use your product and it just doesn't work now. And then you go to your page, yeah, everything is fine. So build a nice status page where you distribute your API status. Be very upfront about outages. Nothing erodes the trust more for developers than having an outage and not knowing about it. And that said, with the API status, you still need some place where they go for questions and answers. It needs to be a dedicated place, be a forum, be a Discord, or even be an email. Make it very clear where developers can get help. Not the same as code samples. Basically, your product doesn't live on its own. You need sample apps and code that show integrations and use cases, inspire your users, your developers, what they can do with your app. So provide sample apps on GitHub, make it open source, let them participate in it. And docs again, because interactive docs are the next shit, I would say. Have you ever used the Stripe documentation or Jupyter networks when you're in data science? They're basically documentation, and you can play with the documentation on its own. So you can edit it and run it. And then again, content. I love content, and content in any form, like videos. It's more like top of the funnel, but also interesting because you can inspire developers what they can do with your product. And content is very, very important. Nothing screams dead product more than no content. And last but not least, you don't buy a product nowadays. If you look at Gitpod, for example, Gitpod is maybe replaced by Codespaces, but they have a very, very cool community, and you go there, you feel at home, you feel inspired, you get help and company with using the product. So you can't replace a product, but not a community. So I talked a lot about touch points, and there are a lot of touch points, not only 4, sorry for that. But remember, your product should feel like this puppy. If you touch it, it feels nice, it makes your heart warm. And this is where you get the real developer experience. And the fun thing is, you're never done. So this was it for my talk. If you want to know more about developer experience, it's here. Thank you.